7 people aged 13 to 24 are diagnosed with cancer every day.
On the 11th of June 2020, I was one of the 7.
4 days later, on the 15th of June 2020, I too was one of the 7.
And that brings with it a whole host of challenges.
These are the stories of what happens afterwards.
This is Afterthoughts.
The teenage years. Hello and welcome to another episode of Afterthoughts. Thank you very much for tuning in, because you can tune into a podcast, as we discussed earlier. We are joined today by myself and Shaumya.
Hi, everyone.
And in the producer's hot seat today is Toby.
Thank you so much. I am tuning in, Aiden. Tuning in.
I've been corrected. I can't call you viewers because obviously you aren't viewing this. So I'm speaking to all my listeners.
Oh, that's very nice.
So today we had the lovely Lauren, a little bit of LL. What did you guys think of it?
I thought she was amazing. And you've also set us up very nicely to say she had ALL, which stands for, Toby?
Acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
Yay!
Thank you so much. I actually do have that on the written down, so that's me cheating slightly. But having Lauren on, it's like another person who's been at a TCT event recently and has managed to fit us in amongst the TCT events. You'll hear a bit more about that during the episode, which is nice. But it's great to have Lauren on.
Yeah, and it was really lovely to hear about so much of the involvement she's done with TCT. They've obviously been massive for her. So I'm really excited for the listeners to hear some of the stories around that.
And lots of mentions as well. Let's give the shout out to lots of mentions about the importance of the arts. What?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you guys will find out Lauren's involvement in the arts. I think that really shows in her storytelling. Some absolutely impeccable stories. Oh, I'm using that word too much. Impeccable.
Big word. Someone's got the thesaurus out.
But no, there was a word you used sometimes, Shaumya. It was like, I can't remember what it was, but I nearly messaged you about it. But anyway, without further ado...
Sorry, can we just... No, whoa. Can I just check? Are you messaging each other to discuss what words you're using during...
No, I nearly did. There was... It started with a T. I couldn't remember what it was. But I was there like...
Tremendous?
No, it wasn't quite that simple. Okay, I'm not that smooth-brained.
Tremendous is quite a big word.
Thank you.
I'll remember it later.
Well,
when you're reading your thesaurus for the night.
Yeah,
when I'm practicing, I'm learning new words for the next episode.
We're not the wordsmiths that Lauren is. That is clear and that is true. So there we are.
Absolutely. And without further ado, I think we should roll into our episode.
So today we welcome Lauren. Hello, Lauren.
Hiya.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
And where are you tuning in from?
I am tuning in from Windsor area, Maidenhead.
Oh, okay. And you were in London recently, though, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in London last night, actually.
And what were you doing in London last night?
So I was doing a Teenage Cancer Trust charity event with Bonhams. So they did like an art auction, and they asked me to come and speak about Teenage Cancer Trust and what it does for young people going through cancer. So it was really good.
Nice. I mean, a nice little link to Teenage Cancer Trust, who this podcast is being sponsored by.
Very nice, Aiden. That was very good. That is a seasoned pro.
That was smooth. That was a nice little hashtag ad.
Yeah. Lauren, did you what were they selling? What were the prints like?
So it was the Connor brothers. They were selling, I think they had 2 different prints that they were selling. And it was kind of like a graphic design of a woman with some writing. Really, really nice stuff. And yeah, so they donated 30 prints and there was a queue out the door, people queuing to buy them. It was insane. And the lady Katie, who's in charge of the event, who planned it all, she was like, "Oh, I hope they all sell." And we were like, "They're definitely all going to sell." And then literally like an hour later, there was like a massive queue. They're like, not everyone's going to be able to get a print. So it was really good.
Did you get a print? Did you?
No, I got to. They were also doing, another artist was there, Adam. I can't remember his name, but he was giving out free prints, and that was another queue that was massive. And luckily, I'd got there early to do like a sound check, and he gave me a print. It's really lovely. It's like pink and sparkly, and he signed it as well. So he was like, "If you don't want it, put it on eBay." I was like, "Okay, cool." I haven't even checked how much it'd be worth, but he did have art in Bonhams that was like selling at like £1,000, like one of his pieces. So I don't know if that would be the same, but yeah.
Wow. We could be in the money here.
Yeah, it was really cool to go. Yeah, it was amazing.
Step 4, did you get him to sign it to Lauren?
No.
Oh, good.
He just signed the signature, yeah.
Because, otherwise you're only selling it to somebody called Lauren.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's a big enough gap in the market for that kind of thing.
Yeah. I just like scribble it out.
Awesome. And we're really excited to have you here today. So should we move into quick fire questions? Sorry, I'm starting your line a bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, steal all you want, Shaumya. Yeah, so quick fire questions. So Lauren, are you ready for the quick fire questions?
Let's go.
Right, so Lauren, to start off with, what are your pronouns?
She, her.
Who do people say you look like?
I don't know. I've had like Dua Lipa, which I don't see. I mean, I'm very flattered, but I do not see it. And I've had, who else have I had? I'm not sure, but I've had Kat Slater from EastEnders. I wasn't very pleased with that one, but yeah.
I think that's the first one where I actually recognised the name that our guest has said. I think we had one earlier. I just had no idea, and then I got shamed by Alice. That was fun. What was the last song you listened to?
Oh, good question. It was probably something by Zach Brown Band. It's like a country band artist. Yeah.
Nice. We'll learn about all the genres on this podcast. What is your favourite pasta shape, Lauren?
Oh, that's a good one. My favourite is fusilli.
Ooh,
yeah,
why?
I don't like penne. I'm not a penne girl.
Ooh, we've had some interesting likes, but never a dislike. That's new.
Yeah. I just think it's quite plain. I think the fusilli makes it more fun, like twisty.
Fair enough. Adds a bit of character to your pasta. I had fusilli pasta for lunch today as well.
Oh, nice.
Moving on. What is one thing you can't leave the house without? And that's assuming you have your keys, wallet, and phone on you.
Lipstick? Probably, yeah. I'd have to have it. Or lip balm or something like that.
I went and bought some Vaseline earlier this week, inspired by one of our other guests.
It's important, especially it doesn't matter whatever weather, but where it was cold as well. You need like lip balm or something. Dry lips. That's what I suffer with.
Got to get on the skincare.
Yeah.
Before Aiden starts talking about his skincare routine, I'll ask you the next question. So, what's something you'd love to learn to do?
Oh, I would say speak another language. I would love to. I know little bits of different languages, but not enough to get by. Or play an instrument. Definitely like piano, guitar, maybe even drums, something like that.
Yes,
awesome.
Big up drums.
Yeah, drums are cool.
You can join our band.
Oh, do you guys play instruments?
Sort of.
We all play instruments to varying degrees, but we have a thing about starting a band. It's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, I'm down. Definitely.
And now
what do you guys play?
Oh, I play drums.
I have played the drums, and I now play the flute/saxophone.
Oh, sax is such a beautiful instrument. I love it.
It's not when I play it, but thanks.
Yeah, I suppose we could.
yeah, I'll be there. I'll play the triangle. That's what I'll do.
What was the band name we came up with?
Oh, that was we could. It was
We could do something. I was gonna say ours was based on the fact like we've all had Hodgkin's, me, Toby, and then we could do we could have like a blood cancer thing.
Yeah.
Blood cancer,
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we should go into heavy metal.
Hemoglobins.
Hemoglobins.
That's pretty good.
That's a great.
That is a good one. Now, our most decisive question that will rile me up slightly. Firstly, I'm going to say it wrong. Scones. Do you put the jam first or the cream first?
Okay, this is always a debate with my family, and we have different arguments within the family. Always argue about it. I always put jam first and then cream. Yeah, you do the same. Thank you.
We are now tied again.
Yes.
I can't lie. No, we're not tied. We're not
we are.
tied. I think that's been the first decisive loss on my side. The rest of them, you've kind of taught them into saying that
A loss is a
Oh,
loss.
so you do cream and jam. See, that doesn't make sense because the jam you need to spread the jam. Like, it just makes more sense. And then cream you just throw on top.
But we can spread the jam after. The cream's the butter. That's
No,
my
but how can
argument.
you put jam on top of cream because you can't spread it?
See, this is a woman of wisdom right here.
I mean, I'm not going to argue because she's a guest, and I have some great decorum, Aiden.
It's
You
fine.
should
We argue about it. At family gatherings, we always argue about it all the time. But then another thing they say is, if you put like the lid on the scone and just turn it over, so it's like, does it make a difference? Because you can just put a lid on and then just turn it over and it'll be cream, jam, cream.
Put a lid on the scone, put a lid on the argument, I say. And the last question is just if you could give us a quick, 2-line kind of summary of your diagnosis. So say, I would say, when I was 18, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yeah. So when I was 22, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukaemia.
Getting diagnosed with cancer is a moment we all remember and we're also used to recalling. But in this section, we want to explore beyond a diagnosis.
No, so I literally had the week. I think I got diagnosed on a Thursday or Friday or something like that. And I had the weekend and they said that they wouldn't be putting me into the Royal Marsden until the Monday. So I said, right, I've got this weekend to live it up. And I called all my friends and I told them, look, I've got cancer. Cry about it later. Don't do it now. We're going out. We're going to party. And so I got my closest girlfriends together and we all went clubbing. The day before, the Saturday, I actually went to my local town and went and got my nails done. I was like, I'm going to treat myself. So I went and got my nails done. I actually went and got a haircut. And I didn't know if I should tell the lady to cut, because I had really long hair down here. And I didn't know if I should tell the lady that I had cancer and could she cut it shorter just so I could get adjusted to, the fact that I was going to lose my hair. But when it came to it, I couldn't actually say the words I had cancer to her. It was the following day I'd been diagnosed. So I just wasn't ready to say it. So I didn't. And then I just had a trim and some layers or whatever. And then got my nails done. Then went into London, met all my friends, went clubbing, went partying. And I remember being in the club and we were I couldn't really enjoy myself. It was this kind of niggling thing in my head. But I do remember a funny moment where I was like, guys, I'm going to lose my hair. And then Charisse just grabbed my head. She was actually treated in the Royal Marsden when she was a child because she had a tumour in her spine and was holding my head. And she was like, nah, you'll be great. She's like, you've got good shaped heads. You'll be completely fine. Don't worry. And we were laughing about it. So yeah, so that's one thing I remember on my night out. But I left pretty early because I usually would stay out till 4 a.m. And I couldn't face it. And I remember my ex-partner was in the club and I didn't know if I wanted to go up to her and tell her. And I thought, no, I don't need to. And there was people I know because it was a club I used to go to a lot. So there was people I knew regularly, and I just couldn't bring myself to tell them. It was just my close circle that I invited out that I really wanted to know. And even then, it was kind of like, this is a night to not think about it. So we didn't mention it too much. It was just those kind of brief moments where they just boosted me up and said, I've got a good shaped head, so I'll be all right.
Cancer, like many other things, means we're all in it together. This section is those around us.
So many amazing people, and I met so many amazing people in the hospital as well. I've made some friends during we had the games room open, and Kieran is the one I speak to a lot. So I think we met during Kwaku. Like Kwaku would do like music sessions and stuff like that, and he and Kieran played piano, so he was playing piano, and then we started chatting. And his family were there as well. My family were there. My stepdad, my mum, my auntie, and then his mum and dad and his two brothers were there in the games room. So then we all kind of like just started talking, all of us together. And so that was nice. And we were just talking about, what it's like at hospital or what we're going through, or, just everything. And then every time I'd go to the games room, he'd be there, even if he's just watching football on the TV or just chilling. And so I'd just sit with him and we'd talk and hang out and watch TV together, watch movies together. And then there was one time, like I said, we stayed up till 3 a.m. He actually had chemo. I think one of his chemos was at 2 a.m. And I said, I'll wait with you. And they were coming and they were, setting him up at 2 a.m. So I was like, I'll chill out with you until they've put you on your chemo. And so we were sat and we were talking to Heather, the nurse, who set up his chemo. And we were all laughing and chatting and all this kind of stuff. And my mum was staying the night, which was very rare because I didn't ever let her stay the night, because I was like, I'm 22 years of age. You're not hanging out with me. I'm sorry, we didn't hang out before. Leave me alone. This is like early days when I was still able to do things on my own. I was like, no, mum. I mean, even for her own sake, I was like, go home and just, take some space away from the hospital and breathe. And, so she would go home. But that night I let her stay, and she texted me, said, where are you? Because I was not in bed, and I was in the games room with Kieran. And I text her back and I said, I'm in the car park, just as like a bit of banter. And she started panicking, going, what are you doing in the car park? I was like, I'm not actually in the car park, I'm in the games room. Yeah.
Cancer can affect us in ways that aren't always so visible. In this section, we explore the invisible impacts.
So basically, my mum, love her, amazing woman, but she got a bit overbearing. So I decided to leave home. Also just to test my physical ability, to be like, I don't need your care anymore. I can do this on my own. So I moved into my granddad's bungalow. He's got a separate bungalow. So I moved in there, and I was only going to stay there, here temporarily, just to kind of see if I could do it. And I kind of found myself spiraling into this kind of depression, really, to be like, I don't, it was kind of like just silly things of, not being able to do things. Like, I was able to do it physically, but it was like mentally I was going, I don't want to get off the sofa, I don't want to have a shower, I don't want to do this, and so, and all of that kind of stuff. And so that really kind of, like, everything just seemed like such a big deal to do things. And that was just like, I guess, the PTSD and the depression that you get afterwards of all the trauma, and also kind of like the alone feeling I had as well. It was like I was causing myself to feel alone because I'd gone and moved on my own, and then kind of not cut contact, but just kind of like distanced myself and kind of like hibernated, I guess. But I needed that to really kind of like get into my feels and feel it out, and to like really come to terms with what I've gone through. And then when I'm, once I was ready, then then I start reaching out to those support networks, reaching out to my family, my friends, and just kind of like getting back into society again. But it took me a while. I did speak to the Royal Marsden, and I was doing counselling sessions in the Marsden when I was going in. Then they kind of stopped. Like I didn't follow up on them after a while because I wasn't going into the hospital regularly. So then I called them up and said, "Is there something else?" And I sort of spoke to a psychiatrist for a while, and he actually diagnosed me with bipolar, which I always felt I had prior to cancer. So it was good to have a diagnosis. And then, and he said, I think you've got type 2 bipolar, which means you don't reach like full mania. You reach it's called hypermania. So it's like a milder form, I guess. And it goes undiagnosed quite a lot. This is, it's so frustrating. I'm trying to stop these habits I have. I'm trying to stop this. But actually, it wasn't. It was because of my moods fluctuating, and also where I'm going through an early menopause because of my treatment. That was another thing of they were questioning, is it because you're going through early menopause and your moods are affected? With that, I don't know. I guess it made it worse as well because my moods are affected with it. Obviously, I'm on HRT patches, which is kind of okay, but I've discussed with my psychiatrist about mood stabilizing medication, but I've decided not to, and just to eat healthy and go to the gym and try and just manage on my own.
School, stress, and hormones is a wonderful concoction. Add cancer to that and it becomes even better. This is Teenage Kicks.
I had really long hair. Obviously, I was diagnosed and I knew I was going to lose my hair. And the first person, I had it cut in stages. So the first person who actually came to cut my hair was a friend of mine who was a hairdresser, and she cut it into a long bob. And then my hair was falling out faster and faster. The root, my parting was getting wider. And so I was like, I need to cut more of it off. And so then my auntie, Googled a hairdresser nearby, and she was so lovely. She came up to the ward and we were chatting, and she cut my hair into a pixie haircut, which I always wanted to try, but never really had the the kind of, oh yeah, you can do it, you can rock it. So it was quite fun in a way to be able to do that hairstyle and try it out before I lost all my hair. And then I had the pixie cut, which was shaved at the side, a long fringe, which was nice. And then and then it just was falling out worse, and it was annoying me getting in my food when I was eating, or it was everywhere. And I said, "Can you just help me? Can you just buzz it off?" And then we sat in the room where they do the massages, and they gave us the razor, and then buzzed it all off. And I felt relieved, to be honest, because I had steroid face, and when my hair was gone, I actually made my face look a bit smaller. So I was like, okay, that's good. I kind of was wearing hats, or I would rock the bald look. I didn't really get into wigs until much later, till I'd recovered, to be honest. Till I recovered, then I started wearing wigs. But I would speak to Izzy about it, who was 16, who was in the bay opposite me. She was really worried about losing her hair, obviously, especially at 16. I think, just being in school and the pressure of what people are going to say. I mean, it was difficult for me, let alone at 16. And so I gave her the number to the hairdresser who came in for me. That's what helped me, because it was so drastic. And it was actually somebody else who advised me on that. It was actually a girl I'd met, Danielle, who was on the bay, but she was only on the bay when I first arrived. She wasn't on there for very long, and she suggested it to me. So she suggested that to me, which then I was able to suggest it to Izzy. So it's all information passed on, which is really good.
Cancer can shape our identity in lots of ways, and in this section we explore some of those evolutions.
I used to write poetry, and I used to write I used to write poetry and I used to write songs when I was I don't know, 12, like 12, 13. I used to write songs, and I had like different books, and I'd write stories, and I'd always loved it. And then I got to an age where kind of went down this path of, you know, going out and messing around with the wrong people and drinking too much and all of this kind of stuff. And so I just kind of like, yeah, I would say going down the wrong path in life and not doing things that I enjoy. I got loads of presents when I got diagnosed, and I was in hospital, and I got a lot of colouring books. I've got that in a poem, actually, a spoken word, where I make a joke about how many colouring books can you bloody own, because everyone just wants to give you colouring books. And so obviously people, they're gifting you things to keep your mind occupied when you're in hospital. But yeah. And so people would send me, like my family, my friends would send me stuff, and I had like all these notebooks as well. So I just picked one up and I said, right, and started writing. My passions changed. Like they would come around. It's a group that's organised by Teenage Cancer Trust, and they're called Vocal Beats. And if you didn't want to, sing, or you didn't want to play an instrument, or you didn't want a lesson, then you could just sit in your bed and they'll play you a song. You can choose your favorite song, and they'll play it on the ukulele. And and that was when I first got there. That's what they did. I asked for Fleetwood Mac, and they played Stack played on the ukulele, and that was the first time I met her. And I didn't really. I think that was the first week I was in there, and I was a bit anti everything because I didn't want to be there. And I was, so that was like I always laugh with her because I was like, that was the first introduction, because I think I was pretty rude because I was like, why are you here? But then when I started getting into the grips of, being in hospital, and she would come by still every week and say, if you want to take part, if you want to, we can go. They would go to not the games room, but the I don't know what the other room's called, but it's got like a pool table and kind of like a big desk thing. And so she's like, we can go in there, me, you, and Belle, and we could do anything. She was like, if you want to learn an instrument, or if you want to sing. And I was like, I like singing, and I've always liked singing. And she was like, yeah, we can sing a few songs. Choose your favorite song. I'll learn it on ukulele. Da, da. So that's what I started doing, was just having a sing song. And music is such therapy. Come on, like music. I mean, whenever I'm sad, whenever I'm angry, I put on a song, that changes, but my Spotify is full of all different genres to do with my emotions. So that was really therapy in itself, was just having a proper sing song with Stack and Bell. And it started like that. And then I decided to pick up the book and to write a poem, and I shared it with Stack and Bell, and they said, "Oh my God, these are brilliant!" Oh yeah, and it was really nice to be able to see them every week, and to share what I'd written, whilst they weren't there. And it also gave me incentive to write, because I wanted to write to show them, my next thing. And so it was like, it was kind of, it was just keeping my mood up, because it was like, oh, I want to impress Stack and Bell, because I'm going to write my next poem, and they're going to, oh yeah, they're going to say it's really good, oh yeah, and like all of this. And so, and also the other thing was, I don't like to cry, or I never used to. Now I'm an emotional wreck, but before cancer I never cried. And if I ever cried, it would be, I'd leave the situation, I'd go cry on my own. I didn't want anyone to see that I was upset that I was this person. And even during during my treatment, it was like that learned behavior that I didn't want anyone to see I'm crying. And so in front of my mum, I didn't cry. In front of my friends, I didn't cry. But in front of Stack and Bell, I'd share my poem and I'd be in bits. I'd just be crying, and they'd be so supportive, and they'd be like, oh, it's okay. Let out your tears. It's all fine. And so it was really, they were really my therapy session in hospital. And, I had, the nurse would say, oh, do you want to see the therapist? Because, they offer it to you. And I said, absolutely not. Send them away. I don't need therapy. All of this. But I didn't need it, because I had Stack and Bell, because I used to go there, have a sing song, show them my poems, and they became my friends as well. We would have gossip, we would chat about all the, like just life in general. I was chatting about one of the girls I was, one of my exes came to the hospital and she'd come by each week, and so we were gossiping about that, and like, so it was just really like having like friends, and just feeling normal, like you didn't have cancer. When it comes to writing is like now some like a love of mine that I will never ever stop doing, because it's so it's just it's therapy. It's therapy for me, and it's not just, obviously I wrote about cancer when I had cancer. Now I write about a girl not texting me back, or it's just like whatever's kind of going on in my life. It's writing about that, but it's yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have realized how much I loved writing and how good I was at it if I didn't have cancer. And that's now the kind of career path that I want to go. And I do open mic nights. I'm going to an open mic night on Wednesday, which I go to every Wednesday, and share new material. And so yeah, it's really become part of my identity now. Like, obviously cancer is horrific and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone because it's so horrible, but I'm grateful for it. Like, I'm grateful because it has shaped me, and I think it shaped me to be someone better than who I was before.
And now we move on to our final story of the podcast, where we look at the lighter side of cancer. It's don't laugh.
So yeah, one that's just come to mind was one of my nurses, Karen. She was always like a jokester, kind of joking about, and anyway, so she would come in and she'd moan about, oh, today's this, da, 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 and it became a bit of a joke that she'd always come in and it would always be negative and it would always be moaning. And so then she would go into like the main reception and she would sit there with her tea and her biscuit. And I remember I called the main desk, where she was sat having a tea and biscuit. And this is when I was having my transplant, so I couldn't leave the ward. Whereas before that, I used to sit with the nurses all the time. We used to play double and things like that. So I felt really kind of like, oh, I'm missing out. So what I started to do was I called her. I called the main desk, and Karen answered. And I pranked her, and I was like, "Is this Karen? Da, 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 da. I heard that you're not helping my daughter because you're having a tea and biscuit." She's like, "Who is this?" And and then I knocked on the window, and I was like, "It's me!" And she was like, "Oh my god!" She literally was so scared, and so she got her own back. This was the best bit. Was when I was leaving hospital. This was during COVID. And when I was leaving hospital, I was, when you get really excited about like, oh my God, I get to go home, and, all of this. And they had the wheelchair ready. The porter was coming up for me. And they said, oh, before you go, you need to have a scan. You need to have a bone scan. And I was like, oh, for God's sake, it's always something, And she said, yeah, but you need to put full PPE on. So I had to put on this whole suit, I had to put a mask on, I had to put a hat on, I had to put gloves on, like everything. And I said, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing this to go on a scan? Surely I don't need to wear this. Anyway, and then they're like, yeah, and you need to walk, the porter's over there, so you need to walk out. So I've walked out, all PPD up, and then all the nurses are standing there laughing at me. And Karen had organised it to get her own back for me pranking on her. So yeah, we've got pictures of it. And my mum was in on it as well. So that was quite funny.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's brutal. I love how there's two layers to that. Like, your prank's pretty brilliant. I can imagine that really unsettled Karen that day.
I find it just so sweet as well as how you're able to have that sort of relationship
yeah,
with the nurses
no,
and stuff. My chemo brain was so bad I could barely remember the names of my nurses.
No, my nurses were like family. Chemo brain is horrible though.
Honestly, Shaumya and I would try and discuss like the different nurses and which ones were our favorite. And Shaumya would be like, this one, and I was there like,
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'm quite good for that kind of thing though. I think you'd like put your headphones in and sleep. That was the problem. But yeah, no, what a great story about all that pranking. Oh my goodness. You need to start like a You've Been Framed hospital edition or something.
Yeah. That would be good. Everyone has to prank each other.
Just to make sure that we are not promoting the pranking. TCT is not promoting pranking. AfterThoughts is not promoting pranking.
How dare you, Shaumya? Gosh.
How dare you, Shaumya? Come on, Shaumya.
You're the future of the NHS as well. But yeah, I think that's a perfect way to end today's episode. So thank you very much, Lauren, for coming onto the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm sure the viewers will love this episode. But for now, it is goodbye.
Oh, so lovely to meet you all. And thank you for having me, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
And that is a wrap for another episode of AfterThoughts. I mean, I don't want to use the word impeccable again, but what another word starting with I, another incredible episode. Shaumya, thoughts?
I'm trying to think of an I word, but I'm just going to say it was amazing. It was amazing. It was fabulous. It was brilliant. It was all the synonyms.
Yeah, and again, some incredible stories there about, her journey with, her different types of therapy, her different diagnoses. Yeah, I mean, this episode's got it all.
It's got everything. And there are lots of afterthoughts we could have on this episode, Aiden. So I'm going to ask you what your afterthoughts on this episode of Afterthoughts was.
My afterthoughts are the importance of the cancer community. I think a lot of us, especially, I know you did when you started, you were there like, I don't want a cancer buddy and things like that, but they can help so much. And I think Lauren put it perfectly, her friendship with Kieran, helping out Izzy. I think, it's just so important to make sure that you do, surround yourself at times with people who understand what you're going through. What are your afterthoughts on Afterthoughts, Shaumya?
Well, absolutely, I completely agree, and I almost agree too much because that was going to be mine. But luckily, there were so many on this episode that I will make my afterthought that therapy comes in different forms, and we all think of kind of getting help about your mental health in this very typical way, but there's creativity, there's cups of tea, there's going for walks, there's getting your nails done, and I think Lauren just embodied that really nicely.
Perfect. And so, without further ado, thank you very much for tuning in to all our listeners. This is Aiden signing out.
That sounds so aggressive. Bye, everyone. Have a nice day.
Bye. Okay, I can pick it up. On the note of therapy and looking after yourself, after a double recording day, I actually need to go outside because I haven't left my house today, and that worries me greatly. Shaumya, what do you reckon you're going to do to de-stress and unwind?
Well, believe it or not, guys, the sun's actually shining. I'm so excited I can't say it. The sun's shining in Glasgow today.
No way.
So I think I'm going to go for a nice little walk by the river, come back, have a tonic tea cake, like the true Ouija I am. But no, absolutely. I think it's really important that we all just seek our little bits of therapy, how we can, where we can. And yeah, that's just really a nice note to end on, that we should all do things that make us feel good.
If today's episode of Afterthoughts has brought up any thoughts or feelings that you'd like to speak to someone about, we really recommend catching up with a friend or dropping them a message. There are a whole host of charities out there if you experience cancer and want to get some extra support.
Thanks so much to Teenage Cancer Trust for supporting Afterthoughts, the teenage years. Supporting teens and young adults diagnosed with cancer in the UK, the work they do is incredible. Find out more at teenagecancertrust.org and check out their socials. This series has been hosted by Aiden Grant and Shaumya Kularajan and produced by Alice May Purkis and Toby Peach from Beyond Arts. Sound design is by Dinah Mullen and Kieran Lucas.